So after this trip, 8 months later, I went to New York and I took Shahada and I became Muslim. And then my life took another direction. That time I was teaching. I was teaching. I went. Okay, yes. Connecticut is a very rural town, and it's very green and very beautiful. A lot of people say it's like Switzerland, but without so many big mountains. It's very, very comfortable setting and very safe. Many people in Connecticut. It's a popular place because it was the first part of the country that was established. Boston and Connecticut, New York, and there's many prep schools. It's known for its education. It's some of the highest academic American educated people in the country, and many people from Europe and the Middle East send their children to go to school in Connecticut because they're the finest schools in this country are in the East Coast, especially for preparatory schools, from 9th until 12th. My grow up in Connecticut, my growing up was very happy. I lived in a very excellent part of the state. It was the middle of the state, and it was a wealthy section. We had a lot of. I played outside. There was a park in my backyard. I had very many wonderful memories playing in abandoned mansions that were of wealthy people. I was a very outdoors person. I spent a lot of time in the park and swimming and skating and later skiing. Very, very active and very social. I was a cheerleader. I belonged to every club that there was. I was in the French club. I was a very active individual. And later, I went to my parents. The schools I went to in Connecticut were white schools. We didn't have many black people in Connecticut where I was living. I was always interested in diversity. I was interested in people from different countries and people who were different than myself because we didn't have a lot of diversity. So I had made an intention to travel in my life and I wanted to go to a travel school, which I did for a few months. And in the beginning, once I graduated from high school, I worked in a travel agency. So I had the opportunity to travel. I went to T.H. Patterson Primary School. Then I went to Memorial Boulevard, which was a high school. And then I went to St. Paul's Catholic High School, which was a Catholic high school taught by nuns. The memories that I have in Connecticut were very joyful because I had friends from Europe who would come and visit, and we used to spend summers on a farm, and we did a lot of swimming. I was a very outdoor person, and we went in the woods and we went hiking, and I have very good memories, bicycle riding, and then traveling with my family too. My father used to take us to Rhode Island and to Maine in the summers, where we would spend a lot of time on the ocean. And this was probably the best memories of my life because I love the ocean, and we spent a lot of time fishing or swimming or sailing. Truly, just being on the water was one of the greatest part of my childhood memories. We ate a lot of fish. My father loved to fish, and we used to do a lot of fishing as well. prior, for myself, growing up in Connecticut, the only person that people I knew besides myself were Jewish people. There was a lot of Jewish people in Connecticut, and my friends were Jewish. All my friends were Jewish. So I just knew the people who were Catholic and the people who were Jews. This is all that really existed in that part of the country, because these were the business, a business industry in the East Coast, and this was most of the people who worked there were wealthy people, and so my friends were from wealthy families, and they were Jewish. So I had a window into what Jewish people do and how they do bar mitzvahs, and I would attend that bar mitzvah, and I, of course, knew my own Catholic denomination as well. My Jewish friends wanted to become Christian because they felt that we were better or that we were more advanced, and I was always curious because I hadn't known much about the Jewish faith before. So that was the only two faiths that I knew. I didn't know anything about Islam, never heard of Islam, and majority of the people in that part of the country were either Christian, Catholic, or Protestant. So we usually were in our own circles. We didn't mix too much with the Protestants and the evangelicists, because the Catholics all think they were the best. It wasn't until I had traveled with my mother. I had gone to Egypt, and then I had become familiar with the culture of the Middle East. I had also traveled. I had become friends with people from Saudi Arabia, and I went to Saudi Arabia 12 times, and I went to Jordan, and I went to Turkey, and I kept finding myself attracted to this part of the world. And I can remember coming home and saying, "Mom, these are my people. These are my people. These are my people. What's inside them is inside me." And I felt very attracted to this part of the world, and I kept wanting to go again and again and again. And even though we have family in Europe, I kept wanting to go to this part of the world, to the Middle East. I felt so fascinated and attracted, and it was like a magnet constantly pulling me. So I didn't realize until much later that it's not the people that were pulling me, it was the religion. And so when I realized that it was the religion, I took Shahada and wanted to be a Muslim. I knew I was Muslim for a long time before I took Shahada. I knew that I felt Muslim, I felt these are my people, but I couldn't know how to articulate or how to explain this feeling. I just knew that I felt more attracted to people who are Muslim, and that I wanted to be with Muslims all the time, and I didn't have any attraction to my own people, to the Italians or to the Germans or to the Americans. I just didn't find that they were alive. I didn't feel like what was inside them was alive. I felt like they were walking dead people. They were alive. They ate, they slept, they worked, but I felt what's inside them was not alive. They were empty. They were dead. So they were like walking dead. But when I went to the Middle East, I felt like the Muslims, I felt they were alive inside, like there was a light, something that was a spark, something that made me feel that I was alive too. And so I wanted to be with people from that part of the world, because they made me feel like I was like that, alive inside. If you have come from Jahiliyyah and you come from the experience of not being Muslim, you have no sense. There's an empty, a dryness, as if you have not been the spark Islam, the nur that Islam that gives you, that you're living spiritually, is something that's missing. So when you experience it, you become aware, and it's about the awareness. The awareness is the beauty. I felt as if my explanation to people is that I felt that I was a caterpillar, and when a caterpillar chews himself out of his skin, and then he becomes a butterfly, I felt like this was my life in Jahiliyyah. I was a caterpillar, and I was chewing and struggling and struggling and struggling to eat my skin so I could be free and be like a butterfly. And that's what it felt like to become a Muslim. Just to remember the church again, you know, we were so indoctrinated. We were so steeped in believing that Jesus was God. I mean, that's what we were taught, that Jesus is God, and God was incarnated